Hi Gemini, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot. Welcome to your cards for March. So, interesting month this month. I think first and foremost, the most important thing to remember is to surrender. We are in Pisces season, so it's really best to just kind of go with the flow. I know that's not so easy when we have so much Uranus energy, like this need, this drive we've got, and especially for you, Mars moving into your sign. He's going to come across the North Node soon, so there's like this impending pressure to succeed, to achieve, to get things going. We've been feeling this for all of 2021, right? Like we just wanted to leave 2020 behind. All of those 8th house things that happened in 2020, we just wanted to leave it all behind and step into the new, the clean slate, the new beginnings. Now looking at these cards, it is truly a lot to do with the new beginnings. But first, the universe is going to talk to you about your relationship with them. So let's talk about this energy of the South Node, life's debts, breaking down to a number 6. Number 6 is always divine time for me. It's always, kind of a godly number. And when we talk about the South Node, you have to talk about release. Now, because you are hosting the North Node in your sign, that places the North Node naturally in your 7th house of partnerships and relationships. And this area can get very karmic at this time. You're going to meet people that really change your life. And there are things that you're going to have to leave behind in the process. And when there's an emphasis on the South Node, there's an emphasis on what has to be transformed. Now, a lot of times we just close out processes, right? We go through all these painful lessons. Oftentimes we go through periods of like one after the other, and we ascend and we move to the next level, and then it's quiet. And in that quietness is where we really have to meet ourselves. And that's what I think this overall energy is about, this Queen of Cups. I think this is kind of the invitation to meet yourself in a whole different place, in a new structure. You are a new person. And I don't know, I'm just picturing like this group of people, like these guides sitting around a table discussing like the next step. And I think the Queen of Cups is kind of an integration of your heart. I don't know, I just feel like this wise grandmother, wise words. If you are older listening to this, been through some things, at least had your first Saturn return, let's say. And you could look back and you could say, oh, I wish I would have realized this about myself, or I wish I would have known better about this. And if you had the chance then, what advice would you give yourself? And the thing about this Pisces energy in your 10th house is that you could be really guided right now. Probably in ways that would surprise you. Maybe some of you have a source of, wisdom in your life. Maybe some of you talk with a grandmother or a friend or a loved relative, somebody that shares that kind of wisdom. Maybe some of you are moving to a part of your life or a process where you get to really start to step into yourself. Like you've learned the lessons, so you're going to treat yourself better. You're going to give your own self the good advice and actually take it. Because the Queen of Cups always takes care of herself. And I think this month is about the new opportunities that show up in the process of the taking care of yourself. Now, this first row of cards indicates to me that things are getting unstuck. Now, it may not feel completely unstuck yet, but we have this Eight of Swords, which is kind of this mental place. And it's kind of funny because of all this Pisces energy, I've promised myself to kind of record these readings a little bit differently, go with the flow, go with my instinct on, when I'm going to do readings for what sign. And this month, normally I would start with Pisces, and yet I was called to do Virgo and then your sign Gemini. And so I'm telling you this because I think both Mercury-ruled signs, Virgo and Gemini, kind of really had the breakthroughs. I think Mercury retrograde did a special number on you. Maybe it was super frustrating. Maybe it was relentless in some ways. And yet it pointed out all the places in which you are stuck. And if you were paying attention, if you were kind of doing the psychoanalysis on yourself, kind of calling yourself out, like the ability to be like, no, that's an irrational fear. Those are not facts. I don't have to feel this way. That kind of internal work. And I think it's given you a clear path. Now, I always see with the Chariot a clear path. It's not necessarily the movement, but things are starting to kind of go in the right direction. Obstacles are getting cleared out, and therefore you are getting unstuck. But what I don't like is this Ace of Cups in reverse, and it's coming out right underneath this Queen of Cups. And I'm wondering if this Queen of Cups is your energy, Gemini, or somebody else in your vicinity. Now, in a lot of ways, it could be both, and you could be projecting. So I think either way, the messages will be clear. Feel free to, if they're coming in vice versa, feel free to flip them. But I see this Ace of Wands in reverse right below the Ace of Cups, and there's something about the idea of not quite being ready. Someone, something, whether it's this Queen of Cups, whether it's you or a partner or a person, is not quite there yet. And in some ways, it could feel a little bit like a rejection, or maybe the realization that something that you really wanted to happen was never going to happen. And sometimes the Ace of Cups in reverse is a pattern. And maybe, just maybe, in very simple terms, this month, this Mercury retrograde has showed you all of the ways in which you are creating those scenarios. Now stay with me. This center card here, this awakening card of judgment in tarot. Also the same placement that Virgo had. Again, this retrograde Mercury, this kind of change of perspective. And I think this is you coming undone, which is what happens in Pisces season. Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. South Node, that's what that's all about. There is an old version of us that we have to release. And we've been doing the work, and we've been getting unstuck, and we've been making all of this progress, and yet there's still maybe like that one thing, maybe like that one relationship, or that one job, or that one dream. And you know that something has to change within you in order for you to understand it. And that's what's super important about this season. Listen, You've got Mars in your sign in the North Node. So whether you like it or not, things are shifting and changing. And I think things will go a lot easier for you, Gemini, if you could allow your heart to be open during the process. This Eight of Swords, Three of Swords, Knight of Cups feels like an awakening in and of itself. Eight of Swords is really keeping it to yourself. I mean, look at, she has a veil over her. If there are hurts, if there are wounds, if there is pain, how could anyone even help? And throughout the month, throughout this process, it goes into a Three of Swords, which is where the pain is revealed. The veil is dropped. But what I find so interesting about the dynamic is this center card. Now, on either side, we have the Ace of Coins and the Three of Swords. And there's something about this Ace of Coins that I think is desperately wanted for. And therefore, it is what you have become a slave to. The way that she is kind of kneeling at the sight of this Ace of Coins. Ace of Coins can be a lot of different things. It could be thinking that things are impossible to achieve because you need that money. You know, the Ace of Coins is a very realistic thing. The things that you could see, the things that you can count. And the Three of Swords maybe is a sacrifice. And I like the way this woman is kind of very stoic as she looks on this Three of Swords. Almost as if she is absolutely determined to not look at that Three of Swords. To not look at those wounds, those pains. I mean, guys, we also have a pretty intense approach to the Sun in Chiron again. You know, it happens every year. Towards the end of the month, towards Aries season or the early April, we move into a Sun conjunct Chiron. So there's a lot of healing energy. All of this energy between Aquarius season and Aries season is all about the healing. And in order to heal, you have to look at it. And maybe there are distractions. Maybe there are new things you're achieving, classes you're taking, new jobs you're training for. But in some ways, I find that you are distracting yourself from feeling what is truly happening. This Knight of Cups directly under this Eight of Swords, Three of Swords, Knight of Cups. I mean, it doesn't get any clearer. The need to slowly become vulnerable and to open up. The Knight of Cups is capable of speaking from the heart. He wears his heart on his sleeve. And it's almost as if somebody has given him permission to ask for the things that he really wants, to talk about the things that really hurt him, to open up and to feel exposed, and therefore you can be connected. I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. I think for a lot of you, this is going to be a partner. I think for a lot of you, you are starting to realize how distracting yourself by focusing on, the physical things. Even if you are somebody who's been hoping a relationship would advance and you're like, oh, I want the house together. Oh, I want the ring. I want to do this. I want to do that. And not really being in the moment. Because I think in the moment is a frightening place. Seven of Swords directly underneath this awakening is the resistance. And I think regardless of what your plans are this month, I think regardless of what you're hoping to accomplish, I think the beginning of the month and the end of the month is going to be very different. I mean, look at this. We're starting with an 8 of Swords and we're moving all the way to the 7 of Cups. This is definitely an emotional opening. There's definitely a surrendering, there's a releasing, and there is an allowing. Allowing yourself to soften, allowing yourself to speak from the heart. The 7 of Swords is just so irritating underneath this awakening because it's like you know you need to do it. You have the answers. Maybe Spirit is showing you, like quite literally creating a pathway, creating a safe space in order for you to do this. And yet that damn 7 of Swords will give you all of the logical reasons that your mind can think up to tell you not to do it. 7 of Swords kind of happens when you argue with your own intuition, right? Like even when you're dating somebody and you like kind of have that vibe, like this guy's a player, this girl's a player, and yet you don't listen to it. Maybe you see certain behaviors and like you just know, like you know that that's not going to end well. You know that this behavior isn't serving you. And yet you're going to do it anyways. But I'm just wondering if it really isn't more about you staying quiet. Because I really feel like staying silent, staying in this 8 of Swords is literally cutting off all of your growth. Now listen, we have a full moon in Virgo at the very end of February, setting the tone for the next 30 days. And that full moon is a pretty substantial moon. It's trining Uranus energy, and it's going to really invite in healthy change. And so the only resistance, the only pains that you will really truly have this month is when you're not working with it. When you're not really putting yourself in the flow, really doing the work, really investigating the opportunities, and speaking up. And the thing is, this Ace of Coins, like this one thing that you wanted so badly, it might actually change its tune. Again, your emotions might really change from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. Maybe you were being very realistic, kind of shutting off that more compassionate, more emotional side of self. And we could do that in Aquarius season. It's all about the emotional detachment. It's very easy to cut things off. But then we move into Pisces season. We move into the softness. And it is almost a shock to our system about how connected we really truly are. And Pisces is all about the surrender and the dissolving into another. And I think even if it wasn't your intention, there's definitely some sort of dissolving that has to happen within you, within your psyche, and quite possibly within a relationship as well. A time to give rather than take. New moon in Virgo. And I don't think that's really about like the financial stuff. But at the same time, Also important to note to not allow yourself to get into any kind of scarcity mindset. Like if you have your mind worried about money, you will manifest it now. And I think we have to always honor the process and the ups and downs. And that's really all about that Virgo-Pisces axis. Virgo always saves enough, is planning ahead so that when bad times come, there's enough. And we kind of surrender and we get by. And Pisces season might mean that even if it doesn't make sense on paper, even though in all, for all legitimate purposes, maybe you should be worried, and yet you shouldn't be worried. There might be some things that you have to give this month. There might be some people that need you. Coming down here is a Knight of Cups. I think if that is the case, you will also enjoy the process. It will open your heart up. And when your heart is open, there's so much more clarity. Like you make better decisions. They're from the right place. The mind is very tricky. It's very hard to make decisions and life plans from a completely mental capacity. And in a year with Uranus squaring Saturn, believe me, it's about liberating ourselves from all of the it can't happen, it's not even possible thought processes. In Pisces season, all planets are moving ahead, full steam ahead. It's about the movement, and it's coming, and it's going to come quickly for you. But there has to be a heart opening. And these are the last two relationship cards that you pulled. Lizard Spirit, dream the world into being. An Otter Spirit, you are never alone. I think for some of you, this is again an indication of like the lizard mind, getting out of the mental stuff and appreciating the moment, appreciating the people that you have in your life, and allowing yourself to be loved. And guys, again, I just want to mention the South Node means that this is all very fated. And if you are in any way, shape, or form trying to resist the process, the energy is futile. It just won't matter. You're just going to have to let destiny take its course. New doors are certainly opening to you. And these are things you didn't even think to ask because you didn't even know were possible, because you didn't even understand that side of yourself. Sounds like it's going to be an amazing month for you, Gemini. I'm so happy for you. Enjoy. We have a couple of decent months coming up that'll feel much better than the past several months. So I hope that all of you get a chance to enjoy it. I will see you again for the April readings. Take care. Bye-bye.